Manx Radio Podcasts, powered by Shaw.
Hello and welcome to this week's Countryside programme with Kiri Kermode and Simon Clark. And, well, we've got to start with it. It's been a tough old week again for the farmers and market gardeners of the Isle of Man, Kiri, hasn't it?
It doesn't seem to be letting up anytime soon, does it?
No, and we're just talking about the wet weather, the snow, and the rain that we've been had. And then when you were out checking your sheep, you couldn't see 20 yards in front of you, which makes it even worse because at least when you look and see quite a way, you can see the sheep, you know, by the hedges where they usually go if they're going to lamb and things, isn't it?
That's right. You find you're having to travel every single hedge or every part of the field as well, just in case you miss one. And yeah, it's not been the easiest of mornings today, so let's hope this clears off soon. Yeah,
and you took a trip. I don't think the wildlife park, the Curragh Wildlife Park, was how was the water table there when you were there?
It wasn't too bad. Kathleen said that the park has held up well this winter, and it does look really well. They've kept it really up to standard, and they're welcoming visitors every week now.
Yeah, and the farm shops around the Isle of Man, we see lots of the little sheds at the bottom of the farm lanes, don't they? You know, with the produce that's grown on the farms generally, and lots of homemade stuff. And I was lucky enough to have a look around it's a month or so now, reopened Sandygate Farm shop in Derby there, and Cindy Corkle showed me around, and what a surprise it was. You know, you think there's just going to be a bag of spuds and a few carrots in there, but there was, I think, from homemade jams and cakes and everything like that. And it's good to see these shops still open.
That's right. People are looking to go to these shops and buy. They're looking to support local, aren't they? So why not go direct to the farms? And if they've got the provision of a farm shop, you know, no better place to go, really.
No. All right, here is this week's Countryside.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Well, I've just returned from the Czech Republic, Kiri. There was snowing for a few hours one day. That was gone in no time. The next day, it was 21 degrees.
Never.
Yeah.
Well, I could do with 21 degrees here.
It's been shocking, hasn't it? And farmers are getting a little bit worried, aren't they?
They really are. This is becoming quite a tragic winter. It's very, very long and very wet, and we're running out of food. Hay, silage, anything now is getting quite desperate.
Yeah, and one of the problems is half the fields you can't do nothing with, can you? You know, the grass that maybe should be there at springtime, it just isn't, is it? That's
right. It's been so much rain that fields are waterlogged, but the plants aren't growing either. You know, there's not enough heat in the day to get the grass up and running, so you can't get the stock out that are in buildings. And things are struggling quite badly on the island at the moment.
And it's one of the things that a lot of farmers, you know, in case of a few bad weeks, you know, keep that bit of extra food that they've stored through their crops and straw and hay and silage and everything through the summertime. But it's just not going to keep for years, does it? That's the worst.
That's right. Some people will keep some over, and there has been some from last year, but the stores are getting used up. Even, you know, people are asking if there's anything buried in the back of barns. Get it out. People are looking for food to feed their cattle and sheep. And so if there is anybody out there with extra food, please make it available.
Yeah, and there seems to be bit of a cry maybe to have to import some at some stage, but let's just hope that doesn't have to happen in the near future.
That's right. Well, this year alone the straw has been coming in, and some hay as well. That's been happening the last couple of years, but more so in the south of Ireland. It's absolute crisis. They're importing it from around Europe now, and the government are stepping in to actually subsidise and help the import of feed. They're in a massive mess.
Yeah, and it just makes it more difficult because it makes you wonder the Isle of Man isn't alone in this, and it's difficult for us to source it if the big power of Ireland are trying to get some as well, isn't it?
That's right. Ireland and actually England and Wales as well. They're all sort of going onto alert now. It is running short, and by this time a lot of stock would be out. So yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah. And lambing all finished?
No, we've only just started the second batch, and they said wait till April and May. There'll be lots of grass and good weather, and well, I don't know, it's not much better than January.
No, it isn't. I mean, did you need your wellies when you took a trip to the Curragh Wildlife Park last week?
I certainly didn't. The park is looking really well. The team at the Curragh Wildlife Park has done a great job through the winter. And I caught up with Kathleen Graham to see how things were going.
Not too bad. We're drying out a bit. There's not as much flowers around as there normally is. Yeah, certainly it does feel like winter's went on forever, so definitely looking forward to some nicer weather.
This is it. But how have the animals felt? Because obviously some of them will appreciate the wetter weather.
Well, most of them have a nice heated house to go to, and the penguins don't mind too much. But yeah, I think we're all looking forward to a bit of sun. I mean, even when a little bit of sun comes out, you see all the animals getting out to catch a few rays, and I think we all can feel that. We know how they're feeling. We're looking forward to some decent weather.
But the park is looking really well. And how are the babies doing from last year, especially little Finlow, the silvery gibbon?
Oh, Finlow is just fantastic. He's just over 7 months old now, and he's proper toddler age now. And, well, you were just watching him with me. He's dangling from the rafters there. Mum's looking a bit more tired because she's got to keep an eye on him all the time. You've got your heart in your mouth, really, when you're watching him, because the skill involved, and he's just learning that. When you see him dangling there from the rope 10 feet above the floor, it is quite scary. But no, he's really finding his legs and his arms now. And for the first time last week, I saw Dad doing a bit of the babysitting.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
Mum was lying on the shelf looking a bit exhausted, and Dad was actually watching over what he was doing. So that's the first time that I've seen Nakula, the father, take a little bit more active role in childcare. About time too. But I guess as Finlow's becoming more independent now, he still runs to Mum whenever he feels a bit insecure, but he is definitely becoming a bit more of his own gibbon, and that does mean that Dad can get a bit more involved because he's not always clinging on to Mum all the time.
You must be very proud for the Curragh Wildlife Park to have such an endangered species here and doing so well.
Yeah, and to have it linked to a project, know that we're actually raising money for the few silvery gibbons that are left out in Java. There's about 2,000 of them in the wild. To date, we've now managed to give over £6,000 to the Aspinall Foundation for the gibbons, and there was a big fundraising event recently, hats off to Tidal Events, for raising some money for that as well. So that's really great that we've really been able to contribute to the safety net, the gene pool in the European zoos for this species, and to give money to the ones in the wild. So yeah, we're really proud of that.
And to have such wonderful facilities here to actually rear young ones as well. Would you be looking to have any more in the future?
Yeah, well, the gibbons, they're like us really. They're apes, and they live a family life. They would live mum, dad and 3 kids essentially. So they'd live in that small, tight-knit family group. They wouldn't have an extended family just because of resources. That's how they live, in a small family group. And they can have a baby about every 3 years. Here, that comes down to about 2.5 year gap because there's more resources, life's a bit easier for them. And certainly by the time they're 10, they've left home, so to speak. So we wouldn't have any more than 3 youngsters because as one comes up, the other one leaves. In Java, they would sort of go off and maybe find their own mate. Here in all the European zoos, the stud bookkeeper will identify a partner for little Finlow when he's around the age of 8 or 9, and he will go off somewhere to another zoo to meet a lady and become, a dad himself. So it's a growing breeding programme. There's only about 42 in the whole of all the European zoos, and half of those are at Howlett's, the Aspinall Foundation. So we're only the 9th zoo to have them. So it really is great. To watch him grow up is just wonderful. It is one of the best parts of my job, just to be able to nip out the office and have a little look and get that dose of oxytocin, just watching him climb about and grow and develop. It's fantastic.
So with the ongoing projects here, I see a lovely new lemur enclosure being built. It's a massive construction. A lot of work's obviously gone into it. We're nearly finished?
Nearly. We had originally hoped to have it finished by last year, and it sort of had to be a movable deadline, but we wanted to get it as best as we could. So we've actually moved the gentle lemurs in now. The gentle lemurs have what used to be the old bat house. The windows have changed to the other side. We're going to put some screening up. We haven't quite done that to help with the reflection. But we've got the gentle lemurs in, and they've got an outside exhibit, which is now what used to be the old greenhouse. And the keepers have been in there doing it up with the bamboo and making it look great. And they've done some great little bamboo huts as well. So it really looks fantastic. So our family of 4 gentle lemurs have moved in there. We're just about ready to move our black and white and our red ruffs into the new lemur building. That's a brand new building. Our first 2 red ruff lemurs have already arrived. They're on island and they're in our hospital unit, so they're not quite on show yet. but we'll get them out and get them mixed with the black and whites, we hope. This is one of the issues with the lemur enclosures, is the species will mix, but it's actually down to the individual personalities. So we've got about a 50-50 chance of getting all our lemurs living all together, and we just don't know if it's going to work or not until we actually try it and see how the personalities get on. So that will be happening in the next few weeks. Some finishing off bits to do to the lemur enclosure. We'll get them out. It's going to be a walk-in enclosure. We are going to let the public walk in, but that part won't be open till the summertime at least. We need to get them settled and see how they are.
But with it being so wet as well, I suppose it's slowed up project work as well, because it's a big area, a lot of fencing, a lot of woodwork's been done. A lot of effort's gone into it.
Yeah, there's, a few people and much to do here, and as well as doing these projects, we've got, all the animals to look after every day, and of course our visitors. So with the best will and intention, you really want to get these things done, but it always seems to take a bit longer, and each one delay can knock on and affect another thing. But yeah, we're almost there, and I think when you come down now, you can see how great the gentle lemurs look, and you can see how great it's going to look when it's completely finished. So it won't be too long. It won't be, and keep an eye on the Facebook page. We'll put on there as soon as we get them out into the enclosure and they're on display.
But these are new arrivals to the island as well, the red ones.
Yeah, it's a new lemur species. All the lemurs are endangered, or some of them critically endangered. So again, it's a fantastic opportunity for us to keep these endangered species, and we will be linking that to a project out in Madagascar as well. There's other EASA zoos that work out in Madagascar, so we'll be able to kind of contribute and help with one of those projects. So we just need to identify the right one, but when we have, we'll do the similar thing as we'll link that to a project in the wild. So yeah, it's going to be great.
You have many more new additions to the park this year as well, Kathleen.
Yeah, well, we had quite a few babies from last year. Our short-clawed otters have done particularly well in breeding, and in fact we've got a few of them, the older siblings, due to move to Amersfoort in Holland, but we're going to be extending that enclosure by 50% just to give them a bit more land space and a bit more water. So that project's due to start after the Easter holidays. We possibly will then stop breeding them so that we can keep a family of something around 7. And we've got a new king vulture shed getting built as well this year. So babies wise, we've porcupines, they never stop breeding, so we've got another porcupine baby, and we're hopeful this year for squirrel monkey babies. It's been quite a number of years since we've had a male squirrel monkey. We've had just a group of females, but we introduced a new male squirrel monkey called Zlotan, who came from Stuttgart, and it was the first time in years that the girls had seen a male, and they were keen, I think would be the word.
So that's something that everyone can look out for then?
Yeah, well, if going on gestation times, we're calculating somewhere around about TT time, possibly. So we'll just need to see, because the girls haven't been breeding for a number of years and some of them are getting older, we'll just need to see how it goes. But certainly Zlotan is a bit of a stud monkey. He's moved around Europe a few times. Every couple of years he moves to a new batch of girls. So he's an experienced male. He knows what he's doing.
And what other events are coming up throughout the park this summer, spring and summer?
We've got our falconry weekend. That will be the last weekend of April. We've just advertised now Wild Academy, and that's for young budding zoologists or enthusiasts, animal enthusiasts. So that's ages 7 years old to 11, and it's a week-long summer school. We split it to 1 week for the 7 and 8 year olds, 1 week for the 9 to 11 year olds. And it's a mixture of activities. They learn conservation, but they also have some fun art, they have some fun play. But most importantly, there's a little bit of animal stuff put in there. So we try and make sure there's at least one animal experience a day, and they might help prepare the food for an animal, things like that. But it's not a full-on keeper school, but it has elements of that. And certainly kids who come on the Wild Academy usually book the following year. They absolutely love it.
And on a regular basis throughout the year, Kathleen, people can see the regular favourites, the feeding of the pelicans, the mongoose. Is this something that's happening every day?
Yeah, I mean, our discovery programme, as we call it, with talks and activities and things, is dependent on volunteers. So we can only really run it at peak times. In other words, I think from from about TT time at the weekends. We'll run it. Obviously, school holidays. There's what's-ons every day during the Easter holidays, and as there will be in the summer holidays. We usually try and do either a reptile or a bug encounter down in the Rainforest Theatre as well.
I see that the park has taken on the plastics campaign as well with the new system water facility.
I don't think it's so much that we've taken on the campaign. We've just tried to make it easier for people, I think, to come with their own bottle, or if they have purchased a bottle, to top it up. So we've got a water fountain there, and I think our focus, as well as doing all the animal projects, our focus is, I think, this year to try and make it easier for people to be more environmentally friendly and conscious, and give little tips and, look at our own ways and how we can do that. And when it comes to recycling, there is a big problem with recycling plastic. There's no point in us having recycling plastic bins here if it isn't actually getting recycled. So I think when we set up projects to help our visitors, we need to be very sure that it is being done in a way that people expect. So yeah, it's something that we're looking at as well, in our shop stock and things like that as well. But it's a gradual step-by-step process, and I think it's the same with anybody, in their own personal lives. I know myself, sometimes it's hard to avoid some of these things like palm oil. Do you try and avoid it? Do you use sustainable? And we say, well, use sustainable palm oil if you can. How do you find out what's in sustainable palm oil? It's quite difficult because it's not always clear from labelling. So things like Chester Zoo actually have a brilliant sustainable palm oil shopping list on their website. And actually, if you just Google palm oil shopping list, it's one of the first things that come up. And that gives you brands, and it shows what's using sustainable palm oil. It's really one of the easiest ones I've come across. And again, if you just check that, you actually find there's a lot of things that you're buying already that are good. So it's about reaffirming to yourself that you're doing the best that you can. And there might be one brand that you're using that isn't, when you can just switch it to another brand. So it's all these small things, and I think everyone these days always tries to make small steps towards improving. And I think that's what the park's doing as well.
And I see that the cafe is open for business. The inflatable bouncy castle and the little trains are all ready to greet everybody.
Yeah, and we've got other projects as well as the animal side of things. We have just been told that we've got a bit of funding for a new website, and we'll be able to do a better online purchasing system. That'll probably be to the end of the year by the time that project's finished. Although it's early stages of planning for a project, we have got plans for a new cafe building. It's there in the Treasury report. So I haven't got all the firm details on that. But when we've got more details on that, we'll be able to let our members and visitors know exactly what's happening with the building.
And it's great that you have lots of members and volunteers. They do help the park significantly.
Yeah, our members, I think they realise what good value it is to be a member of the park, that you can just pop in and out. But as well, I think they're genuinely supportive of everything we're trying to do and improvements here. And yeah, our volunteers as well, they're very engaged in letting the visitors get the best out of their day. So yeah, we're very appreciative of everybody who helps the park.
So people can keep up to date with the Curragh Wildlife Park just on the Facebook and website, Kathleen, for now.
Yeah, we're on Facebook and we do Instagram, and also Liz, our education officer, does Twitter, so her perspective's always slightly different, so it's quite good to follow Liz because she gives that angle as the education officer. And the Facebook and the Instagram are fairly similar, but Facebook is definitely the main place for seeing what developments, what's born, any information if you're visiting.
So that's the park open now?
Oh yeah, we're open 7 days a week. We're open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and we stay open 7 days a week right up to the end of the October half-term holidays, which actually is almost into November. Then we're open every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, open at Christmas holidays, February holidays. So really, we're open around 300 days of the year, and yeah, but that's us open 7 days a week. So you don't need to call us and ask us if we're open. We're open.
That was Kathleen Graham, the Curragh Wildlife Park manager.
It sounds like there's a lot of projects been going on, even though the park is generally closed throughout the week in the wintertime, of course. They haven't been sitting idle, have they?
Have they? Heck, they've been doing lots of work, and it's absolutely brilliant to see the new modern buildings up and the new enclosures ready for especially the gentle lemurs to be released in the next few days. But the park is just continuously bringing in new and endangered animals to look after and for us to see. We're absolutely,
Honoured, yeah. And when you look at the Curragh Wildlife Park in the big scheme of parks and zoos around the United Kingdom and Europe, I suppose people would think of it on a small scale. But when you think that they can get these endangered species and they're entrusted to look after these here on the Isle of Man, it's a great credit to the trust other animal and zoologists and the people that run the rare species have in the Isle of Man, isn't it?
They're absolute credit, and they've gone on to doing the breeding programmes, and they've got a baby silvery gibbon there. They're critically endangered, and to have Finlow swinging around in the rafters in that new enclosure was just, it felt so rewarding, and they must be so proud. But they're doing their bit to preserve these really endangered animals.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Well, for many years, little sheds have been seen at the bottoms of farm lanes with the labels Farm Shop written on them. These have become increasingly popular over recent times, with the Manx farmers and Manx market gardeners and growers trying to promote their own produce and just source it directly to the general public, who the majority of them appreciate that it's just fresh from the ground. Well, one such shop that was opened a few years ago now and then closed for a while has reopened at Sandygate in Derby, and I caught up with the new person at the helm, Cindy Corkle.
I've been here since September.
September, and how has it been?
It's worked very well, yeah, I'm doing really well. It's come on, and I have people from lots of places come here.
The shed originally here at the end of at Sandygate, it was run by the Cletus here, who've got the farm behind us, and of course they closed the shop, and a lot of people were using it, and of course under the circumstances they couldn't keep it going. What made you decide to reinstate it?
It was lying empty and I wanted a challenge, and because I've lived in Derby, I wanted to give a service to the community of Derby. It was a good shop, it was a fantastic shop. They had everything that they could produce into the shop, and just seeing it empty just made me turn around and say, right, you've got to do something with it.
And I suppose then you had to start from scratch again.
Yeah, I had to start from scratch. I went and seen Stuart Allison at Rendu for the vegetables that he could supply me with. I went and spoke to David Neal at Lochdew, and he provided me with potatoes. I get all the rest of my vegetables from Stuart Allison. What I can't get from Stuart, I get from elsewhere.
But there's all sorts here. I mean, these cakes here, who's made them ones?
I make all the cakes.
Really?
Yes.
Lemon curds and marmalade?
I make all them, make all the lemon curds and the marmalades. I make all the jams that are likely to come into the shop in the future, when I get all the fruit and all grown.
Has it always been a passion of yours, doing the cakes and the jams and things, though?
Yes, I've loved doing cakes and jams. I like entering the horticultural shows. They've been good in the past few years. I haven't done any for a long time, but you never know.
I suppose a lot of the people have got little outlets themselves, for selling things. I mean, were the all the ones you mentioned been kind enough to help you and support you and back you up with it?
Oh yes, yeah, they've all supported me, very much so. Tracy at Gellan's Eggs, she's supported me. She'll supply me with all my eggs that I need to have. Like I say, I've got Stuart and I've got Neil's. I've even had potatoes from Robert Kennedy. Everything that I can get local, I'll get local.
This time of year, of course, we're coming into the summertime now. The nights are getting lighter. Yeah. People will be on their diets, eating salads all year. Is it getting to that time as well?
Yeah, I've got tomatoes in the shop. I've got all salad stuff into the shop that I got in this weekend just to give it a try for the summer. Hopefully I'll get it all growing into the fields that I've got just up the road, courtesy of Mr. and Mrs. Cleater.
Yeah, and a field now, because obviously if you can get the stuff growing close to where the shop is and do it yourself, it'd be an advantage too.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier.
What experience have you got in that? Pretty good?
Yeah, we've had a couple of allotments down there at the Gary. We used to grow all our own veg, and when I worked at B&Q, I sold it to B&Q staff.
Fair enough then. There's drinks and all sorts here as well.
Yeah, people are saying that, when they pass and they come in, they always say, is there a drink in, or what else have we got? So I've got some green bottle Cox's apple, I've got some elderflower, and I've got some ponygramma and elderflower, and I've got some new Rubicon, which is a sparkling water.
Now, what about situated here? What, since you've started, was the uptake immediately, or was it a gradual thing?
It was gradual. We had our own Facebook page that was starting on Sandygate Farm Shop, And really, it's took well from the beginning. You know, I say well, it's keeping its head above water.
And what about, I don't think you can fit any more in here now. I mean, what are you going to do about that?
Not in here, no. Mr. and Mrs. Cleater have had a second shed built, and in that shed will be all my jams, all my drinks, all my salad stuff, all my summer fruits, which hopefully will get planted shortly for the bushes, for the gooseberries and red currants, white currants, black currants. You name it, it'll be in that field.
And what about the people? What sort of feedback are you getting from the locals? You said there's even people from quite far afield that come in.
Yeah, we've had ones from Laxey, we've had ones from Onchan, we've had ones from down south. Yeah, they're quite pleased. Everyone's been pleased. I've never had a negativity set against me. It's always been positive stuff, which is nice.
Yeah, will get too much of a workload, do you think, if
No.
it gets too busy?
Never.
No?
Never. I've got Michael to help me as well.
Oh, well.
Hope he helps me. Kirsty helps me. Danielle helps me as and when she can. So yeah,
Good family effort then.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get there.
What about access to it? It's a come and serve yourselves honesty.
It's an honesty
thing,
box, yeah. Honesty.
And is that troublesome?
It was to start off with, but not now.
All right, how have you solved that?
Got a camera.
All right, okay.
Got a CCTV camera.
Yeah, but there's always the odd one.
There's
or two
always
around.
the odd that'll try, but no, I'm touch wood. I've been good.
And what about the opening times off the shop?
Shop's usually open from about 8, half 8, right through till now. The summer nights it'll be open till about 6:30, 7 o'clock.
What about the weekends?
Open all weekends, same times.
Cindy Corkle, who's took over the running of the Sandygate Farm Shop there at the crossroads at Derby. And wonderful when I went in there, I thought, there'd just be a bag of spuds and a few carrots sitting there, but it's tremendous. She spends her whole time cooking cakes and scones and making jams and lemon curds and things, and it's beautifully set out. It really is a credit.
You really can't beat homemade produce, whether it is a cake or a jam or whatever. It always tastes so much better than an actual supermarket one. But these farm shops are fab, and people are looking to support them. Local people want to have a bit of mud on their carrots and their spuds, and providing them like that. What a better way.
Yeah, and it was nice that she was there, and a couple of people came along and said, I need some spuds. Oh, what do you want them for? Oh, I'm going to roast these, or I'm going to do chips with these. Of course, everyone who's involved with farming and potatoes will know that all the different types of spuds, well, I'll call them spuds, I'm not as posh to call them potatoes, that they're all suitable for different types of baking or eating, aren't they?
Well, that's right. A supermarket doesn't necessarily brand them like that. You just think that a potato is a potato. But no, like you say, they're grown in specifically for different jobs, and to have that knowledge there as well to get the best chips.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
It is good, and it was. We wish them good luck with that, and all the farm shops around the Isle of Man. Let's just keep them honest and keep them there.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Well, lovely to have a look around the Sandygate Farm Shop, Kerry, and I've been in several of them in the past, and it just still amazes me how much they can fit in and how organised they are, and when the people are there to answer questions, what type of potato would be best for roasting and things like that, because they're all different.
That's right. The knowledge that these farm shopkeepers have is just brilliant, and you can have a good chat, build a real great rapport with them, and ask where the food comes from, and if there's something that they're missing, they might be able to stock it for you. It's that personal touch, isn't it?
Yeah, and the homemade cakes and jams and lemon curds. Are you a lemon curd person?
Oh, I love anything homemade. Oh yes, lemon curd. Oh, on toast.
Do you make jam yourself?
No, I don't seem to have time for anything at the moment, but no, it's something I do really appreciate is other people's homemade produce.
Yeah, and the
Really
Wildlife
good.
Park, it's really have done a lot of work by the sounds of things over the winter.
They really have. They've brought that place right up to scratch with the modern buildings and all the great viewing platforms to look at these brilliant animals they've got. Such an array of signage and interactions, and it's just a fab day out for the family. It really is now.
Yeah, and I just love actually the walk through the little bits as well, through the little bits of trees and marsh where, the bits that connect different animals from different birds and things like that, the little walkways and things. I just love that part of it.
It is so tranquil, and you can get back in the Curragh there and get lost really, but you think you're in a completely different world. But they've got the park managed so well with all the really endangered species that we have the privilege of looking at, which is it's really good here on the island.
It is, and of course the special tickets you can get as well, really good value, where you may not get time to go for the whole day, but you can get the season tickets, the family ones, are really good value as well.
That's right, and it's open till 6 p.m, so there's no excuses.
No. Okay, we'll leave it there for this week's Countryside. We're back next week with more. So from me, Simon Clark.
And me, Kerry Kermode.
We'll see you next week. Ta-ra.
Bye-bye.
Don't sit in the slow lane. Join the fast lane right now with Shaw's all-new Superfast Plus broadband. Enjoy more bandwidth, amazing speeds and the best value on the island from just £23.95 per month. So don't be left behind. Get a piece of the high-speed action with Superfast Plus broadband from Shaw. For details, visit our stores in Douglas, Ramsey and Port Erin or click shaw.com. Love being Shaw. Terms and conditions apply.